Well, it's been almost 2 years since my last update. A ton has happened. Some unfortunate stuff, some pretty awesome stuff. You're going to see a lot of new faces. And then, really, there's only going to be one face you will know. And he was only in my very last video. Last summer, I decided to move back home. As you can see, I do not have the almost acre plot of land. I moved back in with my parents simply to quit renting. Renting is fine if you plan on staying in that place for an extended period of time. But ultimately, you're just shoving money in somebody else's pocket, and you will get nothing in return in the long run. So I moved back home to pay off my debts, almost there, and I had to scale back. As you can see, my setup is completely different. The only thing that I have that's the same is that little hutch that Oreo used to be in. I am going to do a collage video after this to kind of piece together with pictures everything that everyone's missed. Last June, well, for a year, between 2 years ago and last June, my neighbor's dogs, you might have seen them in some of the videos running up and down the fence, had started to escape and attacking my rabbits. Luckily, they didn't get any of them, but it caused a huge rift between my neighbors and I. We even had to have the police involved at a couple of points. So it's really sad because I liked those dogs, but the people were elderly and they were just yard ornaments, so they were never taught what to and not to do. So I'm going to come over here and fill up my jugs, and I will take you down to see the rabbits and explain everything. So yeah, a lot has changed. Totally different rabbits. And I'll explain in pictures what all had happened there. But basically, I built these hutches because the 3-tiered stacking cages were just, it's a huge hassle having to deal with pans. It's messier. In the summer it smells. You get flies and things. But with these hutches, the poop falls straight through. And a couple times a year, I rake it out. Right now I have the hutches opened up, but I can partition them off into 2 sections, each section being a little over 2 foot by 3 foot. This is Miss Dottie. She is 3/4 Rex, 1/4 Continental Giant, supposedly. That's what I was told. She's only about 8 pounds, though, so not a big rabbit. I mean, she's a good sized rabbit. She's a wonderful mom. She had her first litter just early spring. She had 9 babies and took care of every last one of them. I had a breeding problem over the past year. She's a really timid doe, which you've seen some of my does in the past that have been timid. It really just depends on the rabbit. But right now I have the hutches opened up because I have scaled back immensely. At one point I had up to 7 breeding rabbits, and it got to be a little bit much, especially on the fact that this property I cannot forage like I could on my last property. My parents spray chemicals for ticks and fleas, and so I don't feel comfortable feeding that to them. Not that the alternative, which is pellet, is much better. There's a pretty cardinal on that hutch over there. I do get to forage a little bit in the ditch. wild grapevines, some kudzu, and lamb's quarters and things grow. But yeah, so I have these hutches. I love them so much better. They're much easier to access. I do have the, crap, I can't think of the name of the hook. But the full door opens. The only problem is when kits are really small, they don't understand that they can just fall straight out. So I have had to snatch a few up. But the full door opens. And the partition that I have, if you can see the screw holes, I just keep those in my little shed over there. So, this is one of my breeding does, Miss Dottie. This is her full sister, Peppermint Patty. Not quite as timid, but still pretty timid. She's a pointed doe. Miss Dottie is a broken black otter. And she had 7 babies. Wonderful mom. They're about 10 months old now? 9 months old? So they did great their first time. The only issue I'm having is their nails are so much worse than the other breeds I've had. I have these tiles in here for them to lay across. Keep them off the grate, and they're cooler in the summer. They each kind of have their own dishes that they use. In here, I have my hay and my random crap. Dirty pans that I let sit out in the rain because it poured today to try and help clean them a little bit. This is one of my bucks. Right now I have 2 does and 2 bucks. I will be getting rid of a buck. This is Rowan, or as my dad calls him, Mr. Bucky. He's a nice boy. He's about 8.5 pounds. He is a All-Tex New Zealand cross. Not overly friendly, but he's not mean. He's not aggressive, and he's a good breeder. He hasn't missed a litter yet. Each cage has 2 tiles. They're all waiting for dinner. It's getting dark out. I feed them at night because they're more active at night, and it's also cooler. And then the only one that you probably do know is Ash. Ash is still here. So he's a little over 2 years old. The last time you saw him, he was 3.5 months old. Ash is 10 pounds. You really can't see him. He is black. He's super silvered out, but you can tell just by the shadow of him how much bigger he is than Rowan. And I had mentioned earlier in the video that my neighbor's dogs had attacked my rabbits. Well, my family, after our old dogs had passed away, we had obtained, or well purchased, 2 boxers. And this is Gabby. And they're very good with the rabbits from the time they're 7 or 8 months old. From the time they were tiny babies. We got them at 6 weeks. I would hold them up to the cages and we check the rabbits every night. That's their job, to come check the rabbits. My breeding issue last year is I think Ash went heat sterile. As you can see, this is partitioned obviously because I don't want my bucks killing each other. One of them will go, depending on how breeding goes in the fall. If Ash is obviously my favorite because he's still here. He's such a sweetheart. He throws huge meaty kits, and I can do anything I want with him. I can clip his nails. I have a playpen over there. I don't know if you can see it. It's just one of those wire dog pins that I have tied to the fence. He's the only one I can carry to and from here without a carrier or a bucket or something, you know, so I don't get destroyed. And, you know, so he can stretch his legs. My parents have a whole lot more hawks here, and I seriously lived about 1.5 miles from them in my previous place. Gabby's watching her rabbits. Her sister Sadie up on those rocks. Anything that comes over here, they chase it down. So they're really good about watching their rabbits. Not aggressive towards the rabbits. They like to eat their poop though, which is gross, but it won't hurt them. It's perfect poop essentially. He's hungry. But yeah, in the fall, if Ash is heat sterile again from the summer heat, which I think is what happened last year, he did throw a litter with a sable doe that I had earlier in the year. So he obviously came out of it. But if he doesn't throw a litter in the fall, I will keep Rowan and I will butcher Ash, which will totally break my heart. You can't even see this boy, but he is gorgeous. Come here, Ash. Let's see if I can angle him towards the last of the light here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Get up here. There's spiders crawling on me. Yeah, you can't see him. I'll take another video of him. He's beautiful. He's more silver than what he was as a kid. There's a spider on me. Ew. But yeah, a lot has changed. I love my hutches a whole lot better. Just scaling back. I can't forage properly, so I'm having to spend money on feed. But with the kits that I've sold, they've more than paid for themselves. He is so stressed about not having dinner right now. But yeah, hopefully, I've been here a year now. I said I would only be here for 2, but we'll see what happens. Looking for a property. Of course, everybody dreams about that 20 or 40 acre homestead, but I'd take an acre at this point. So, but these are my babies. Just letting y'all know we're still here. Just a lot has happened. I'll do a photo montage and captions to explain things. I'm under a totally different name now. Long story. Just, it's strange and I don't really want to go into it. But I'm going to feed these babies. Y'all have a good night.